Hello everyone, and you're welcome back. In this lesson, what we're going to do is look at another variation of the switch. In this version, all we did was just use anticipation to hide that change when the object was switching. In this lesson, what we're going to do is to see a slight variation where we use another object to hide the switch, and that happens very fast just to create the illusion that this object is actually changing. So what I'll do is I'll call this switch A, and next let's go ahead and create a new vector level this time, and I'll drag this down to the beginning. If you are on a frame already and you create a level, it will be on that frame. All you need to do is just drag the frame handles at the top, and you can drag and position it anywhere. In fact, we can even start our drawing from here, but I just like starting the drawing from the first frame, and I'll hide this level. Now, what does it mean? Why are there two icons here, right? This is for your drawing table, and you're hiding the content on your camera stand, basically. And this other eye here is for your preview visibility. If you render out this scene and this eye is on, it will render out everything here. If you turn this off, let's say I go to my drawing and I turn this off, right? Even though I can see the drawing on the table, it won't render out when we are actually rendering this drawing. So, and it just simply means that's the preview on how it's going to look like. So when I render this, we're going to have a transparent background. If we want to get rid of that and make sure this indeed has a background, let's go to the XSheet settings, scene settings, and I'll drag the alpha all the way to 225, which is 100%, means we can see a background. If you're creating a sprite animation for like a video game, you might want to turn off the background such that when you bring in your animation to the game engine like Godot or Unity, you won't have a background. So just to put that in mind, right? Or if you're planning to use a green screen to hide anything, then you can just make it a green screen or leave it transparent. But that's just a side lesson. Let's begin our lesson here. So I'll turn off the render preview, and I'll turn off the drawing on the table, and I'll turn off this drawing as well, and I'll go to our new level, and I'll call that switch B. I'll just be using the vector drawing brush. Now I showed you an example where we have other vector brushes, raster brushes. In the vector drawing set, we also have vector brushes. They're not the best set of vector brushes, and later on I'll show you how you can download some customizable brushes, but the default brush is fairly straightforward, easy to use, and you can add effects to change how the brush looks like. But just to know that you can pick any of these brushes and use them to create your artwork. I'll just use the default basic brush, and I'll go back to color. I like to have a little guide for our drawing, so let's create a new vector level. I'll just call that floor, and what I'll do is just hold the floor to just any arbitrary number, and I'll go over to the geometry tool, make sure the shape is on line, and I'll just draw a line here like that. So I have a black line, and I'm holding this black line for about 23 frames. On 24 it disappears, which is enough for our animation, and I'll drag my layer to the top like that so that the floor is at the bottom. I'll go back to the brush tool like that, and let's just start drawing our little shape. So we want to morph our shape from a square to a star shape, so I'll just draw a nice little square like that, and just to give it some nice little character, I'll just put a face on this square. So I'm going to hold this for 2 frames, so I'll just skip to frame 4, and once I start drawing anything on 4, you can actually see it's held that main drawing for 2 frames, and we are on 4 already. And what I'll do is to squish this guy down like that, squash the guy down, and once it's done, I think it's too rapid, so I'll just do an undo. Oops. And I'll just start squashing this on frame 4. So I don't want it to be too drastic. So I'll just start here like that. I'll put in the eyes here, put in the little mouth, and then on frame 5, I'm going to squash it further. So I'll just turn on the onion skin so we can see what we're doing. So on frame 5, it's going to go down a little bit. And this is going to increase or improve on the easing. So we have the mouth down here now. And on frame 6, this is where I start the overshoot. So it's going to overshoot the original design, which is this reference. So just slightly overshoot. I'm coming bigger, and I'll put the eyes here. And then it's going to reach the maximum height here. So I'll just make this quite large, like that. Now it's losing volume. I don't want to do that. I just want to give it the original shape here, the volume of the original shape. So it's here. I'll just drag this and stay within that confine of the volume. I'm not worried about how accurate my drawing is. Now on frame 8, what we're going to do is to create a distraction by creating a shape that doesn't look like our final shape at all. So I'll just create a nice little cloudy looking shape like that. On frame 9, I'll make this cloudy shape bigger, so I'll get a reference and make it bigger than the original cloud shape like that. And on frame 10, that's where I'm going to draw my initial new morphed shape. So I'll just draw this like that. So it's just a little star with a smile in it. That's our new shape. And yeah, so I'll just draw the shape again, quickly draw the shape, and put the eyes and mouth. And on, let's say frame 12, I'll just draw the shape again. So I can turn off the reference now, so I can just have something clean, and we can zoom in. I'll hold the space bar to turn to the hand tool and click and drag. That's how you can pan around. So I'll just quickly go over this drawing like that. Put the eyes, and we have the mouth. And what I'll do is just hold for like a couple of frames. So I'll just hold this like that, and say maybe 23. So let's just play this and see how it looks like. So from a square reveals to a star. Swoop, swoop. And if I want to put a little surprise, so we have our star on frame 8. So from frame 8, I'll just draw a few action lines like that. Like say maybe this action line, like it just appeared out of nowhere. And then on 9, the lines are going to start disappearing. I'll just bring this so I can get a, so they're going to be shorter and slightly further away. So they're going to be shorter and slightly further away. So on frame 10, it's done. So let's try it now. Swoop. Yeah, and I like using sounds to just indicate the timing. So you see, we just have a few drawings, and then we eased into and also eased out of that. We can actually ease out of this if we want, but I'll just leave it like that, and I like how the reveal looks. And for this, I'm going to think about what color to use to fill this drawing right now. Now we're using purple, and a complement to opposite the color wheel, orange is opposite purple. So let's use some bright yellow orangey thingy here. So let's create a new palette. And for this palette, let's go towards a bright yellow like that. Something orangey like that, and make it super bright. And let's try filling this up. So I'll go to the, and I like using 2 colors for the shape. So the star, I'm going to fill the star with that color. I'm using frame range, so I'll go to 10, click, and you can see 8, 9, 10 is colored bright yellow, which actually I think it stands out with the background. I think it's quite nice. And what we can do now is to go back to this one here. What color do we use for this? Let's use a variation of that yellow, like that, for 6 and 7. So I'll just make this yellow, just so we have colors that are close to each other. So 7, I'll just click that. So 7, 8, 9, like that. And then for our character now, I forgot to draw the eyes on frame 5. So I'll quickly switch to the first brush and switch to the brush tool and just draw the eyes like that. I'll just draw them up here. And draw the mouth. And now I can think about what colors I can use to fill this guy. So we used the complement. Let's try red as a triadic color palette. Now, what do these mean? I'll show you what it means. Let me bring up a color palette. And so basically what I'm doing is to select colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, right? So we can use a triadic color wheel, basically red, violet, and we can use violet or cyan. So basically choose colors that are complements of each other: red, cyan, magenta and green, violet and chartreuse green. So basically using the color wheel is going to save you a lot of time, and there are different color models. I'm actually on the wiki page. So this is the RYB color wheel for artists, and the RGB color wheel is the color wheel that's used by computers. So anyone is going to work great. So purple, yellow, violet, amber, and you can choose red or amber, or red and orange, or red and purple, like that. So that's the concept I'm actually using to select colors. Let me quickly check my Camtasia to make sure it's recording, because sometimes I actually switch the screen, so it might actually pause due to some errors sometimes. So I'll switch to a red color palette, like that, something pink, like that. I like that one, and more towards orange, like that, just so these colors are actually close to each other and actually working. So I'll just use the regular fill, no frame range, and I might use the frame range here actually. Click on frame range, click this, go to frame 5, click on that, and hopefully we have colored all our frames, and it's done a very nasty job. So I'll just undo undo that and just fill it in manually. It's not perfect all the time, like so. And the reason was how I drew this. If I had drawn the shape in one go, it wouldn't really have a difficult time understanding where to apply that frame range. I think to solve that problem, what I can do is to group all these shapes. So let's select everything here, hold Control, select this shape to Shift, hold Shift, not Control, sorry, and select all the shapes, hit Control G to group them. Now everything is a single shape. I think I have two eyes there, that's super weird. So let's go to the fill tool and try filling. And it's still being naughty, either way. Let's just do that. And go to 4, fill this. Go to 5, fill this. Let me zoom out so we can see what we're doing. To solve this problem, I could actually just redraw the whole thing. Or, let's try a trick. I'll click the mouth and move the mouth away. So I'll move it over here. Go to the fill tool and I'll bring the mouth back here. So let's see if we drag this up a bit and change the position. So we're just debugging here. So let's do something. Let's get rid of this mouth and go to the brush tool and try drawing another mouth. Oops, it has to be black. And we're still seeing some of the artifact, but at least it's slightly better than that one. So let's play over here and see. Now we have our shape being revealed like that. Alright, that's super great. Now you notice there's a slight problem. What if we want to scale this entire level? Right, we want to scale this. Oops, we want to scale this entire level drawing. We could easily pick one. Let's try going to the transform tool and scaling this. And let's play. So it just scaled the first drawing, not scaled the entire thing. So how do we solve that problem? Well, that's where we have the animate tool. So let's click on the animate tool, click this drop down and go to the center. I want to set the center to here, the center of the object. And next, let's go to position. So I want to also change the position of our drawing to the center of our screen, or maybe here a bit. And now I can go to the scale and just click on the object and scale it. Now I can take the position again and center it around here. All right. So now if we drag it, you can see we've scaled our entire drawing using the animate tool. If I do this, you can see we have our animation positioned and scaled. And the reason why we can know we use the animate tool is because we have a key icon here. This key, we can move this key anywhere, right? And it's still going to hold because it's a general key on the entire drawing, right? I'll just put it back to its position. If we don't want to see those effects, once we delete that key, we're going to delete everything. So just in case you need to increase the size of your animation, that's how you do it. So this is taking too long. I hope we had fun learning about the switch. There are other versions of the switch. We have a motion switch where an object moves so fast it just transitions into an object because it's moving very fast. I think we can look at that, but there's so many examples we need to learn. It's a practical class. It's not designed to teach you what every button does, but it's just designed to show you how to get your feet wet by creating basic animations very, very fast. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.